Have you ever left a room feeling like you were wading through fog? The conversation, on the surface, seemed normal. Perhaps it was a team meeting, a chat with your partner, a phone call with a family member. The words themselves were ordinary. Yet, a strange weight settles on your shoulders, a quiet, persistent hum of anxiety in your chest. You can't quite put your finger on it, but you feel smaller than you did 10 minutes ago. Drained, confused, maybe even strangely guilty, with no logical reason why. This feeling is not just in your head. It is not you being too sensitive or overthinking things. It is a signal from the deepest, most ancient part of your psyche. It is an alarm bell, ringing in a place far below the noise of your conscious thoughts. This is your shadow, and it is calling to you. The concept of the shadow, as envisioned by the brilliant Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung, is one of the most misunderstood and powerful tools we have for understanding ourselves. We often think of it as our dark side, a monster in the basement of the mind. But that's not the whole story. Your shadow is the guardian of everything you have disowned about yourself, and its primary job is to protect your wholeness. When that wholeness is threatened, especially by the subtle poison of manipulation, your shadow will try to get your attention. In our journey together today, we will heed that call. We will uncover two profound Jungian signs that this unsettling feeling is a clear signal that you're being manipulated. These aren't about checklists of toxic behaviors you can find anywhere online. These are deep, internal experiences that happen within your own soul. And more importantly, we will explore what your shadow is asking you to do about it right now, to reclaim your energy, your clarity, and yourself. Before we can decipher the messages from our shadow, we need a basic map of the territory. Think of Carl Jung not just as a psychologist, but as a cartographer of the soul. He provided us with a language to describe the vast, unseen landscapes within us. To understand manipulation from this deep perspective, we need to grasp three key concepts: the shadow, projection, and the persona. First, let's demystify the shadow. Imagine your personality is like the earth. There's the part that is lit by the sun. This is your conscious ego, the person you know yourself to be. But the earth always has a side that is in darkness. This is the shadow. It's not evil, it's simply unseen. It's the repository for all the parts of yourself that you were taught were unacceptable, inconvenient, or unlovable. It's your repressed anger, your deep vulnerability, your untamed creativity, your raw ambition, your righteous rage. Because we have pushed these things into the darkness, they hold immense, raw energy. The shadow, therefore, is a source of tremendous power, vitality, and wisdom, if we have the courage to turn and face it. Next, we have the crucial mechanism of projection. Projection is the unconscious act of taking an aspect of your own shadow, a quality you cannot accept in yourself, and attributing it to someone else. It's like having a movie projector in your mind. If you have a deep, unacknowledged fear of being incompetent, your internal projector will run that film, and you will see incompetence everywhere, especially in the people closest to you. A deeply insecure person, unaware of their own shadow of insecurity, might constantly accuse their partner of being untrustworthy. Now, here is the key. Manipulators are masters of projection. They cannot bear the weight of their own shadows, their shame, their malice, their incompetence, their envy. So they unconsciously project it onto you. They make you the screen for their unwanted reality, forcing you to carry the emotional burden that rightfully belongs to them. Finally, there is the persona. The word persona comes from a Latin word for the mask worn by actors in ancient Greek theater. Your persona is the social mask you wear. It's your role as the competent employee, the loving parent, the funny friend. Personas are necessary and healthy. They help us navigate the social world. The danger arises when we are forced into a rigid, inauthentic persona that serves someone else's needs, not our own. A manipulator will often cast you in a specific role: the problem solver, the sensitive one, the scapegoat, the incompetent one. They do this to control the narrative and keep you in a predictable, manageable box that, oh, we have these three forces: the shadow, the unseen parts of us; projection, the act of putting our shadow onto others; and the persona, the mask we wear for the world. When these three things are twisted by a manipulative dynamic, our psyche sends out powerful distress signals. Let's learn to recognize the first one. The first profound sign your shadow is sending you is this: a sudden, intense, and disproportionate emotional reaction that feels alien to you. Let me say that again. It's an emotional surge of guilt, shame, rage, or profound sadness that feels far bigger than the situation logically warrants. It's a psychic shockwave you feel when someone has successfully hurled a piece of their shadow at you, and on some unconscious level, you've caught it. Your conscious mind is confused, trying to make sense of the interaction, but your deeper self is reeling from the impact of carrying an emotion that is not entirely yours. Truly understand this. Let's step into a story. Meet Maria. Maria is a project manager at a growing tech firm. She's diligent, highly competent, and perhaps a bit of a perfectionist. Her boss, David, is charismatic, a smooth talker, well-liked by upper management. But those who work closely with him know a different story. David is secretly disorganized. He misses details, procrastinates on key decisions, and despises accountability. His deepest shadow fear is being seen as incompetent. One Tuesday afternoon, the team is in a review meeting for a critical project. A major deadline was missed, causing a significant delay. The reason for the delay, as Maria knows all too well, was David's failure to approve a vendor contract for 2 weeks, despite her multiple reminders. The room is tense. David stands at the head of the table, his expression one of calm, thoughtful concern. He doesn't yell. He doesn't point fingers aggressively. The most effective manipulation is rarely so overt. Instead, he looks around the room, lets his eyes land on Maria with a look of gentle disappointment, and says, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Maria, your attention to detail is usually so strong. We just need to make sure we're all communicating proactively to avoid these little slip-ups." It's a learning moment for everyone, of course, but let's all double down on that. On the surface, what happened? A mild, corporate-speak rebuke wrapped in a backhanded compliment. But let's go inside Maria's experience. The moment the words leave David's lips, a hot, volcanic surge of shame erupts in her chest. It's so intense, it makes her ears ring. Her face flushes. Her stomach clenches into a tight, painful knot. She feels an overwhelming wave of guilt and a furious, directionless rage, mostly at herself. For the rest of the day, she can't focus. She replays the moment over and over. What did I miss? How could I have let this happen? He's right. I should have been more proactive. I should have called the vendor myself. I'm a failure. The feeling is crushing. It's far, far bigger than a simple comment in a meeting. It feels like a fundamental indictment of her character. This is the sign. This is the shadow calling. Let's dissect this from a Jungian perspective. David could not tolerate the feeling of his own incompetence. That feeling lives in his shadow. So, unconsciously, he projected it. He took his disowned failure and, with a few carefully chosen words, handed it to Maria. His statement, "Your attention to detail is usually so strong," is a masterful piece of manipulation. It simultaneously implies that her attention to detail failed this time and frames him as a gracious leader who is merely noticing a rare lapse. But why did it land so powerfully on Maria? Projections need a place to land. They need a hook. Maria's own shadow might contain a small, repressed fear of failure or a sliver of imposter syndrome. It's the part of her that, despite all evidence of her competence, quietly worries she's not good enough. David's projection flew across the room and found that hook. Her overwhelming emotional reaction is the critical piece of evidence. It's her psyche's alarm bell screaming at the injustice. The intensity of her shame is not just her shame. It's her shame amplified by the full weight of David's disowned incompetence. She is feeling for two people. She is carrying his burden. The disproportionate nature of the emotion is the proof that it does not belong entirely to her. Her conscious mind is trying to rationalize it. I must have done something wrong. But her shadow knows the truth. So, what is your shadow telling you when this happens? When you feel that sudden, sickening lurch in your stomach, that tidal wave of guilt or rage that seems to come out of nowhere, it is not telling you that you are flawed or that you did something wrong. It is screaming a clear, primal message. Warning, you are carrying a burden that is not yours. This shame is not from your own inventory. This guilt has been outsourced to you. Investigate its origin. Do not accept this package. Learning to recognize this feeling for what it is, a psychic signal, is the first step toward refusing to be a screen for someone else's shadow. The first sign was a sudden explosion. The second sign is a slow leak. It's more subtle, more insidious, and over time, far more damaging. The second Jungian sign you're being manipulated is this: a pervasive, chronic feeling of exhaustion, brain fog, and a sense of inauthenticity, a deep, persistent feeling that you are losing yourself. This isn't the normal tiredness you feel after a long week of work. This is a soul-deep exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. It's a psychic drain, a constant low-level static in your mind that makes clear thought difficult. It's the unsettling feeling of looking in the mirror and not quite recognizing the person looking back at you, as if you're an actor who has been playing a role for so long you've forgotten your own true self. This happens when a manipulator has successfully locked you into a rigid persona that serves their needs, and the energy required to maintain this false front is bleeding you dry. Let's explore this through another story. Meet Tom. Tom is a naturally easygoing and creative man. In his core, he is spontaneous, loves to laugh, and finds joy in messy, artistic projects like painting and playing his guitar. He is in a long-term relationship with Sarah. Sarah is a wonderful person in many ways, but she is ruled by a deep-seated anxiety. She needs control and predictability to feel safe. Her shadow contains a terror of chaos and emotional instability. Over the years, without a single overt, controlling demand, Sarah has subtly sculpted Tom into a persona that makes her feel secure. She has cast him in the role of the steady rock. How does this happen? When Tom has a bad day at work and tries to vent, Sarah becomes visibly distressed, saying things like, "Oh no, I can't handle more stress right now. You're the strong one." When he feels anxious about something, she escalates, becoming even more anxious herself, forcing him to stuff his own feelings down and comfort her. When he wants to spend a Saturday making a mess in the garage with a painting project, she sighs and talks about how chaotic the house feels, guiding him toward more calm and stable activities. Tom, in his love for her, has adapted. He has become the steady rock. He is the calm one. He is the capable one. He is the one who handles all crises, financial and emotional. He is the one who never has a bad day because, as he has been conditioned to believe, she can't handle it. So, what is Tom's internal experience after a decade of this? He feels numb. He walks through his life with a sense of detachment. His old hobbies, the very things that once lit him up, feel distant, like they belong to a different person. His guitar gathers dust in the corner. His paintbrushes are dry and stiff. He feels perpetually tired. He can get 8 hours of sleep and wake up feeling a deep, weary ache in his bones. He finds himself being quieter in social situations because offering a real opinion or a spontaneous joke feels like too much work. He feels like he's playing a role, and he's forgetting his lines. The exhaustion is his constant companion. This is the second sign. This is the soul-crushing exhaustion of a collapsing persona. Now let's analyze Tom's situation. The steady rock persona is a cage, beautifully decorated with the language of love and care, but a cage nonetheless. It was constructed to manage Sarah's anxiety, not to honor Tom's true nature. The immense, chronic exhaustion Tom feels is the psychic cost of this performance. Every single day, he expends a huge amount of energy repressing his true self. He pushes his own anxiety, his own vulnerability, his own creative messiness, his own spontaneity down into his shadow. Holding these vital parts of himself underwater takes constant, relentless effort. He is fighting a civil war within himself. And That is why he is so tired. The feeling of losing himself is literally true from a Jungian perspective. His conscious ego has over-identified with the persona, the mask of a steady rock. He has come to believe, I am the one who is always calm. Meanwhile, his authentic self, the wholeness of who he is, including his shadow, is being starved in the dungeon of his unconscious. The exhaustion and brain fog are the symptoms of this psychic starvation. When you feel this deep weariness, this sense that the color is draining from your life, your shadow is not screaming this time. It's too weak for that. It is whispering to you in the quiet moments, late at night, or on a long drive. It is a faint, persistent voice trying to break through the fog. And what is it saying? It is whispering a desperate plea. This mask is suffocating us. The real you is still in here, behind the role you're playing. We are running out of energy. Let's break free before there's nothing left. This exhaustion is a sacred call to return. It's a signal that your soul requires you to stop performing and start living from a place of authenticity, even if it feels terrifying. We have identified the two signs, the sudden, overwhelming emotional reaction and the slow, soul-crushing exhaustion. Recognizing them is a profound awakening. But recognition without action leaves us trapped in awareness. The title of this journey is Act Now. So, how do we answer the call of the shadow? How do we begin to reclaim our psychic energy and autonomy? It begins not with confrontation, but with a series of small, internal shifts. Step 1, acknowledge and name. This is the first and most crucial act. When you feel that disproportionate surge of shame or that familiar wave of deep fatigue, do not push it away. Do not numb it. Pause, take a breath, and name it for what it is. Say to yourself, silently but firmly, this is a sign. This is my shadow calling. Something is wrong in this dynamic. This simple act of naming creates a space between you and the experience. It stops you from automatically identifying with the feeling and instead turns you into an observer of it. Step 2, withdraw the hook for sign number 1. When you feel you've caught a projection, that hot shame from a comment like the one David gave Maria, you must consciously refuse to carry the package. This is an internal boundary. Visualize the feeling, the shame, the guilt, as a heavy, dark object in your hands. Now, in your mind's eye, extend your arms and give it back. You can say internally, this is your incompetence, not mine. This is your shame, not mine. I will not carry it for you. You don't have to say it out loud. This is about reclaiming your own psychic space and refusing to be a dumping ground. Step 3, feed your true self for sign number 2. When you're exhausted from upholding a false persona, the antidote is to actively and deliberately feed the parts of you that have been starved. This is a quiet act of rebellion and reclamation. If you, like Tom, have been cast as the steady rock, your task is to find a safe outlet for your own vulnerability. Schedule a call with a trusted friend and allow yourself to say, I'm not okay today. If you've been cast as the incompetent one, your task is to tackle a small project you can complete on your own and then consciously sit with and savor the feeling of accomplishment. Pick up that dusty guitar for just 15 minutes. You're not trying to become a rock star. You're trying to remember who you are. These small acts of authenticity are like sending food and water down to the prisoner in the dungeon. They begin to restore your life force. Step 4, observe, don't engage. As you become more aware, begin to watch the manipulator's patterns with a sense of detached curiosity, like a scientist observing a specimen. Notice, there it is. He's feeling insecure, so he just projected his incompetence onto a junior colleague. Or she's feeling anxious, so she's doing that thing where she casts me as the only capable person in the room. This observation, without emotional entanglement, is where your power lies. You start to see their actions not as reflections of your worth, but as strategies to manage their own unexamined shadows. This detachment is the beginning of true freedom. We have journeyed into the depths of the psyche to find the roots of a feeling so many of us know but cannot name. We have uncovered the two great alarm bells, the sudden, intense emotional reaction that signals you've caught a projection, and the deep, soul-crushing exhaustion that tells you your authentic self is being suffocated by a false persona. For too long, we have been taught to fear our own shadow. We've treated it as an enemy to be conquered, a beast to be locked away. But as we have seen today, nothing could be further from the truth. Your shadow is not a monster. It is your most loyal ally, your wisest, most instinctual counselor. It is the guardian of your wholeness, the keeper of your power, the part of you that will never, ever stop fighting for your authentic life. When your shadow calls, through rage or through weariness, listen. It is not leading you into darkness. It is leading you back to yourself.